So the Angels first added a pitcher to try and get competitive to go back. We talked about it last week. They acquired Lucas Giolito. And now it's like, okay, the Angels have a chance if they keep Ohtani. This is their one final chance to make something of the Trout-Ohtani duo. And so then Texas one-ups them. They're not going to let it happen. And then Houston one-ups them.
And then Giolito goes out there, obviously against the Braves. But the Braves batted around a little bit against them as well, putting up at least 9 runs, I believe, against.
I think he had like either 8 or 9 earned over 4 innings, I think it was. It was a mess, but I think with the Verlander acquisition, I think it's safe to say that I think the Astros are probably the favorite. I would have to think now.
Giolito,
I know the Rangers
3
are still
2/3,
but...
8 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 3 homers.
I mean, it's against the Braves, so it's understandable. But at the same time,
9 runs over 3 1/3 is not understandable.
I mean, Braves are good. There's nothing else to say there. Just yikes.
The AL West is, I think you guys said it best, an absolute gauntlet down the stretch. But we still got like just about 2 months really left in the season. Probably right around that, a little bit less maybe, but that division, that and maybe a few others, maybe the AL East as well with a few teams, but it's going to make for some interesting baseball, and we're not even going to be at the postseason yet by the time that all gets solved.
And the Rangers have Scherzer making his debut today against the White Sox. That game starting at 2:10.
Imagine having Scherzer and DeGrom on one team.
Yeah, and one hurt and possibly not even winning the division.
Although once again, DeGrom is hurt. Where have I seen that? Scherzer joins a team, and the 1-2 punch isn't quite ready just yet.
But the difference is, though, everyone knows that DeGrom's out for this year. But next year, well, Scherzer's got a player option or is a team option?
He already opted into the deal, so he will be a Texas Ranger next year.
So we will have another DeGrom-Scherzer 1-2 punch next year.
If DeGrom can stay healthy, yes. Which is always the big question.
Tommy John, sometimes it takes like a year and a half to come back, but as long as he pitches once next year, you could count it, assuming Scherzer's there.
Yeah, and I bet the Rangers will actually get him a win, have some run support for once when these guys pitch.
Yeah, they're playing the White Sox, so that shouldn't be a problem. I say that, but we'll see what happens.
The White Sox didn't fire Sale like everyone thought. They still have Dylan Cease, still have Tim Anderson.
They did trade a couple key guys away, obviously Lance Lynn, Joe Kelly, Kendall Graveman, between the Astros and Dodgers, respectively. But yeah, the more marquee guys that you thought would got traded, like you said, Tim Anderson, Dylan Cease, still there. Anderson's still looking for his first home run, I think.
So, yeah.
Well, Anderson has one, I believe.
Or
does he have one?
He might have got, I think he did eventually get one, yeah.
Well, yeah, wow. Tim Anderson and Shohei Ohtani have combined for 40 homers this season.
But, for the White Sox, it should be interesting to see kind of where they go. Obviously, with the Mets now discussed with their fire sale, the possibility of not like a complete rebuild, obviously, but definitely like a retooling for sure for maybe the next few seasons, which after what the expectations were for this year is pretty disastrous. But now the White Sox, they hold on to some of their guys, and obviously it doesn't look like they'll be going anywhere this year, but it'll be interesting to see where they go in free agency and if they could be one of those surprise teams next season, but they might have put themselves in a bit of a tough spot.
Rangers World Series prediction. We might have to have Tom on the show in a week or two to give some elaborate. I'm still not seeing it. I'm not 100% there yet. They've shown it, but I'm not sold yet. I'm just not.
I mean, obviously they're serious contenders, but I'm more in the idea that you're probably looking at maybe 24 over 23. I'm thinking more next year. It's just, especially with the Astros game Verlander on Tuesday, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, especially if they like next year, DeGrom and some of the other guys, if they're a bit more healthy and they could stay healthy, I could definitely see maybe a season or a few seasons down the line. I agree with you. I agree with you though, and that I'm not completely sold on them for this season. But you never know. That's really the beauty of the postseason. Like obviously the Phillies came out of nowhere.
All it takes is getting in.
Yeah, there's been a few, especially the last few seasons. Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, but yeah, you never know. Obviously, the Rangers are kind of one of those top teams in the AL, but really, if you get hot at the right time, as those teams have shown, it's anyone's game.
I feel like this is the Braves year. I just think they are superbly better than all 29 teams.
Yeah,
I don't think I've been alive for a season where I've said this team at this point in the year is just mountains better than every team in existence.
Yeah, it would take a major collapse or like disastrous injuries, or
it would have to take a
something like that
collapse for the Braves in order to lose.
Yeah,
no offense.
No, none taken. But yeah, well, like I said though, for the postseason, you never know. Obviously, we saw how hot the Braves got to the end of the regular season, and the Phillies got hot in the postseason. But it would still be pretty surprising if the Braves didn't at least make it to the World Series.
I think that in terms of the AL long term, just if you're talking about the teams that are just a year or two away, I think it's Baltimore. Like I don't want to say that, but I think all of the AL East teams have a better chance than the Rangers to win one over the next 3 years.
I like the Orioles a lot too. Obviously, you guys are Yankees fans, but I find that they're right now, especially, just such a fun team to watch. And I honestly, they might be my pick for who since the Mets are out, who I'd like to see win the World Series this year, or at least one in the next few seasons, because they're a really fun team to watch, and I think it's possible.
And they also made a really interesting move on Tuesday, acquiring Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals, he'll make his Oriole debut tonight at Rogers Center in Toronto against the Blue Jays.
That's been a good series so far. The Baltimore-Toronto series?
That it has. It's been back and forth.
If only the Yankees with the Rays and Orioles could have been more like that. They took 2 out of 6.
We're okay now. We have our Lord and Savior Kenyon Milton and Spencer Howard. Like we're going to a World Series. We're going to win it all this year. It's Cashman thinks that this is still a very competitive ball club and that we can win with what we have. We got this. We're still going to win.
And I think yes, not this year. I think the Rangers have a better shot this year, but I think the Yankees would have a much better chance to grow themselves over a year or two and become a better team than the Rangers.
If only they didn't stay quiet really during the deadline.
What are you guys' thoughts on that? That was a bit surprising. And as soon as the deadline hit, I was thinking of all the angry Yankee fans probably calling in to the radio shows and all that, because I know a lot of the fans wanted them to make a move.
Harrison's coming hard and fast.
For me, at least,
there's my thoughts.
I was stuck at work, so I wasn't really able to watch the full coverage. But the more I kept getting like the alerts of who's going where, I'm thinking, all right, are we coming down to the wire to make a move? Like I'd understand that because that's something Cashman's done in the past. And then 6 o'clock hits, and it's like, what the hell did we do?
I think I
we didn't do anything.
I feel like the last 2 to 3 years, all I did the day of the deadline and like the night prior was watch MLB Network straight. Like I think it was 2 years ago. I think I watched the MLB Network for like 16 hours straight, like leading up to the deadline.
Definitely done that before.
I turned on the MLB Network for probably 5 minutes on Tuesday. When I got the alert that Verlander was traded, that was when I turned the MLB Network on. Because I did not care. I really didn't think anything was going to happen. That was going to change my life. That's where my expectations were.
I mean, at least my expectations were pretty much met, though. I felt like we weren't really going to do anything. I mean, a blockbuster would have been nice to bring in a bat or an arm, but, it's like I said on our last show, like we're going to get some either C or D tier reliever or
Harrison's coming hard and fast.
Yeah, if only the Yankees could too.
And we did touch on it earlier, but in unless they get hot, do you guys really see without any of these moves happening that they get in the postseason?
If they can have a good stretch and somehow sneak in as the last wild card, maybe.
To be fair, though, to be a third wild card team, it's not bad. We talked about this a lot, I think, our first couple weeks. Because if you're the third wild card, you play the AL Central winner, which is Minnesota, Cleveland, or a long shot, maybe Detroit. But I wouldn't be opposed to that, because even if you're first or second wild card, yes, you might get not the home field advantage, but if you're the first wild card, you will. But I'd rather just knock out the AL Central team, make it to the division series, and then you have a chance, because then you have something riding into the next round. So I'm not completely dead on the Yankee season. I think they're a better team than Toronto. At this point, I don't think they're better than Tampa, Houston, or Baltimore. So I think their only shot would be the third wild card. I would have said they're better than Houston at the beginning of the year, but now that they got Verlander back, everything that I said about the Astros all year long, which is that dynasty that was there, is gone without Verlander. They're piecing it back. They're still good, but they're right back to where they were in 2017, just without Garrett Cole now. And they've proven they don't need him.
Yeah, and you jinxed it a couple of weeks ago. You said, oh, the Yankees are going to be fine. We don't have to deal with Verlander anymore.
Yeah, I did. That was last week.
Yeah, reality check. He's back.
Gonna have to deal with them this weekend, probably.
Yep, yeah. Four game series. So most likely.
Yep.
Right as I said, the Yankees don't got to deal with Verlander anymore. I'll take the one regular season loss, but now it's probably going to be two regular season losses.
I will say he's starting to be better consistently too. Yeah.
Well, Nestor Cortez is coming back, so we'll see if that helps the Yankees at all.
I think his last 7 starts, he had a 1-something ERA, I believe.
Yeah, I want to say his last 6 was 1.
He's always been great at this time of the year, though. These dog days of August. That's when Verlander is Verlander.
Yeah,
he's always been that way.
Last 7 games for Verlander prior to a trade, 4-1 with a 1.49 ERA.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's too little, too late for the Mets, of course. But no, but when he's on though, he's been outstanding. Probably helping us win a few more games than we should have, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
You want to address it?
Oops.
I mean, it's accurate. Thanks, Dad. Thanks. It's accurate. Yeah.
But yeah, Yankees. I saw an alert. They got one mid-tier reliever, and that's what I figured they were going to do. I said a couple weeks ago that everyone adds a reliever just to say they do something, because that's the easiest thing to get. It's the easiest position to just add, because there's so many on the trading block, because it's not like it's one set per position per team.
Yeah, the Yankees acquired 2 I would call it D-tier reliever. One was Kenyon Middleton. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's first name. And then the other guy they picked up was designated for assignment by Texas to make room for Scherzer, which was Spencer Howard.
Yeah, the Mets got the same amount of relievers as the Yankees did at the deadline. Yeah. With Phil Bickford and the other guy who I also forget what his name is. Kolarek, maybe?
Yeah, it was Kolarek, yeah. Though he could be... I mean, obviously you're not going anywhere this year, but he could be sneaky good.
Hey, I mean, if you guys want to bring back Luke Voit too, that is right, Tom. Yeah. He did opt out of his contract with the Mets. So
yeah, he opted out. Wonder who will sign him.
And that's another thing too that another point that Jack brings up as far as the Mets go. At this point, you might as well call up Ronnie Mauricio and give him a chance. Obviously, they were in a much better spot last year when they called up Beatty and Alvarez to give them a chance. And it didn't go quite as planned, obviously, and then the Mets struggled down the stretch. But especially, you're basically out of it now. I would like to see Mauricio come up, not too much added pressure, especially if they continue to lose, and give the guy a chance to show what he's got in the show.